Back to the water cooler, everybody. We've been talking, of course, all show about the tragic shooting in Boulder. 10 dead, a 21-year-old arrested, a Muslim man apparently had major anti-Trump posts on social media, which, look at that, have been all of a sudden taken down by Facebook. But anyhow, we'll get into that at some point in a future show. I want to bring in Rick Green, founder of PatriotAcademy.com. Rick, always great to see you, sir.
Hey, David, good to be with you this morning.
Well, you know, the Democrats, here we go. It's like a cycle. You know, gun control, gun control, gun control. Wait a minute, hold on. At the top of the show, I talked about how Colorado has some of the strictest gun control measures in the country. And what happened in Colorado? So, I don't know. What's your take?
Well, you might be surprised by what I initially say here, but I agree with the initial statements of a lot of these Democrats. It is past time to do something about these mass murders. It is time for the politicians that have been standing in the way of good legislation to get out of the way or get fired. But let's be very clear about what that good legislation is. It is not focusing on the hunk of metal or the hunk of plastic that is used to commit the murder. It is focused on getting out of the way and letting citizens defend themselves. The only way you're going to stop these mass murders is if citizens who are trained to use their firearms to stop the bad guy are allowed to carry that weapon wherever they go. We've got to have legislation that follows the wisdom of the founding fathers found in the Second Amendment, and they described it as the first law of nature, the right of self-defense. And all of these politicians, just as you mentioned in Colorado, that put in this legislation that makes it harder and harder for the citizen to defend themselves, they're the ones we should be angry about right now. I am angry today. I am sick and tired of these mass murders where these murderers are able to go into these stores and go aisle by aisle for 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour before they are finally stopped. Let the citizens defend themselves. And I want to encourage every citizen out there that's watching this to do two things today. Number one, call every one of your state legislators and federal legislators and tell them to pass national reciprocity where you can carry your firearm in any state across this country so that when your family's sitting down at that restaurant with you, you're able to defend them if a bad guy comes in, if a crazy guy comes in. And then when these lunatics show up, they're stopped in their tracks instead of being able to go around and murder 5, 10, 15, 20 people. So let the legislators know you want real legislation that's going to save lives instead of cost lives. And then secondly, get yourself trained. The reason I'm dressed like I am right now, I've got 300 people with me right now out in the desert of Nevada training through my constitutional defense course to get the intellectual ammunition of the first law of defense, or first law of nature, self-defense, but also learn how to physically defend their family in the moment. These are good people, law-abiding citizens. I got people out here that are literally 89 years old learning how to do this because they want to be able to defend their family. I'm sorry to go so long, David, but we've got to put a stop to this, and I'm tired of these virtue-signaling politicians getting people's lives. They're costing lives. It's time to get back to common sense and get back to the Constitution.
Rick, go longer because you're a jovial guy and you're angry today, and you're angry for righteous reasons. It seems like this is a 180 of where America is. In other words, everybody's talking about gun control, gun control, gun control. And you're saying, hold on, the script legislative-wise needs to be flipped in the citizens' favor.
That's exactly right. And the same thing applies to the school shootings. You know, every time one of these school shootings happens, it breaks my heart. Yeah. Because there are teachers, there are principals, there are janitors, there are others that know how to get the training that they need to protect those children. And so when parents send their kids into these schools where these no-gun zones, I mean, it's ridiculous. You actually think that the criminal is going to pay attention to that and not walk in? I saw a headline today that in Boulder, they're now blaming it on the fact that this assault rifle ban in Boulder was blocked 10 years ago. Does anybody think that this nutcase that went in there yesterday was paying attention to that law at all? Absolutely not. So it's time for us to protect our kids, protect our families, get back to common sense, get back to the laws of nature and nature's God, and start following our Constitution.
Let me explain real quick, everybody. Take it down. You got a pen and paper. PatriotAcademy.com. PatriotAcademy.com. Rick Green has all the information there that you need to know in this. It's a battle. It's a social battle. It's a spiritual battle. Societal battle. All of that. Hey, Rick, I want to, speaking about battles, vaccine passports, I got to get you on that. These vaccine passports, I don't know. It feels to me like iceberg right ahead, like Titanic here constitutionally. Am I missing something? But this seems, wait, let me get this straight. I can't go to like Europe potentially because I'm not vaccinated? Really? Wait, hold on for a second, Rick. What's going on there?
Well, we would expect that from a socialist or a communist country to show me your papers, but you should absolutely be able to travel state to state in America without having to prove some kind of vaccination. This is off the charts. And even if, listen, David, if we were dealing with Ebola with a 50% case fatality rate, or smallpox, or yellow fever, or even the Spanish flu of 1918 that was a 2.5% case fatality rate, and millions were dying, and children were dying. And all. That is not happening here. This is a 99 point, depending on which study you look at, even the CDC saying 0.2% case fatality, 0.26% case fatality rate. So, even if you say 99.7% survivability, we're going to interrupt travel. We're going to require people to start showing their papers. It's unbelievable. I'm so tired of watching these kids get kicked off these planes for not wearing a mask. Of course, I've been kicked off a plane, and some people call me a kid. But anyway, the mask thing is ridiculous. But this passport idea for a vaccine, that frankly, if you're at risk and you think the risks of the vaccine are worth, protecting you, then get it by all means. But we should be able to make that cost-benefit analysis ourselves. We determine our health care. That's our responsibility, not government, and certainly not the airlines.
As we wrap up here, what's the constitution? Is there a constitutional principle here about vaccine passports? In other words, is it something? It feels discriminatory. I don't know from a legal standpoint what might happen. Someone's going to challenge this. I mean, at some point, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this would be a negative right situation. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution that gives the government the authority to require this. What we would typically say in constitutional law is there something here that has a compelling interest? It's bad enough that government should intervene, and then when they do intervene, it has to be narrowly tailored and least restrictive. Well, this idea of a vaccine passport violates all three of those. There's not a compelling interest here. It absolutely is not being narrowly tailored. It's not least restrictive. So I agree with you. It should be challenged. But David, I'll tell you, man, the courts have failed us miserably over the last year. So I don't have a lot of hope that they're going to uphold actual constitutional law here, or the actual Constitution. Everybody's just running scared. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. Fear is not a virtue. We got to get out of this fear mindset and start letting people live free, make their decisions, live with the consequences of their decision. That's the American way. Let's not follow this socialist communist model of literally requiring papers simply to travel in our country.
Yeah, Rick Green, really appreciate your straightforwardness on this, and of course, what happened in Boulder. Thank you so much for being a patriot out there, sir.
I'll try to calm down and be more joyful next time, bro.
Oh, no, I got you. All right, patriotacademy.com, Rick Green. Check it out. He's out there teaching people to defend themselves, because guess what? This society, today's day and age, you better do it.